Hi everyone, welcome to another video on Love is Blind Season 7. This time we'll be discussing Marissa and Ramses and see what we can reflect on via their story. First, spoiler alert, I've seen the whole season, including the reunion. I also understand that it's an edited show. I only analyze the characters portrayed. I also believe that people can grow and change. This analysis is only for our own learning and reflection. Please do not use what I say to bother the cast. So at the start, Marissa was attracted to both Ramses and Bowden. And in terms of personality types, this may be explained by the compatibility and chemistry between Fe, extroverted feeling, and Fi, introverted feeling.
Thank you for our date earlier. It made me feel comfortable. I was like, I'll talk to him about anything.
Anything. Oh, I'm glad you feel comfortable with me.
Yeah, I do. I feel comfortable.
In simple terms, Fi generates and expresses feelings and values, and Fe responds, affirms, and relates. Fi needs Fe, and Fe needs Fi. Fe creates a safe space for Fi to express themselves.
I'm just like terrible in terms of like how I critique myself.
Okay.
Like I never feel like it's enough. And I think like it comes from like my dad was just like very critical. I felt like whatever I did was never good enough for him.
And in turn, Fi's expression opens up Fe because Fe responds and relates by sharing their own feelings and experiences as well.
When my parents divorced, my dad like left and didn't help at all. And it was just my mom with us 4 kids. And so we were like on welfare and really poor for a couple years. I had a lot of people come into my life that were really helpful in shaping how I view the world.
Fe would find Fi's vulnerability very endearing and appreciate their emotional openness.
You are a joy. You are warmth. You are...
Oh my God, these affirmations.
I didn't even start talking. I'm already getting like emotional.
That's what I love about you, is your emotions.
Fe also admires Fi's confidence in what they believe in and how they create and stand firm by their own values.
Yeah, like I just don't really care to like try to follow traditional expectations of what like masculinity should look like. It's like masculinity is like what I make it.
I absolutely love that, more than you might realize.
A main factor that attracted Marissa to Ramses was his confidence in his own identity as a man, not feeling the need to have to fit into society's definitions of masculinity.
Something I will say about you that I find so attractive is how comfortable you are talking about gender roles, how there is the toxic masculinity and how like you lean away from that.
This seems very different from Marissa's previous experience with military men.
Because I'm used to military masculine men.
Got you. Yeah. That makes sense.
Men who she might associate with toxic masculinity. Men who are not emotionally vulnerable, who feel the need to prove their manliness via power, domination, and suppression of feelings, who may not have treated Marissa equally because she was a woman.
I think that you'll show me love in a way that I haven't, unfortunately, been able to have elsewhere. And that I've always wanted and never thought I could have.
And although I think Bowden, like Ramses, also held these healthy definitions of masculinity, his military background might have affected Marissa's decision. She might have wanted to try something different.
Is it like a yellow flag that I was in the military?
It's definitely a yellow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a yellow flag for me too.
That I was in the military?
Why are you acting shocked when you said it's for me?
No.
Yeah.
I think Marissa also chose Ramses over Bowden because Ramses expressed bigger feelings and was more openly upset about their love triangle situation.
Whatever, like the news got out about like, Bowden and everything.
Yeah.
I got a little bit in my head. There's always that fear of opening up to someone and being like vulnerable with them. And then there's possibility that that person may not be for you because they may lean in another direction.
Despite being very much in love with Marissa as well, Bowden did not want to burden Marissa with his feelings over their love triangle. He was emotionally mature and resilient and spoke to Marissa very openly about their 3-way situation.
You're in a great spot. Me and Ramses are fucking fantastic dudes.
You guys are! It's killing me. It's killing me.
Obviously, we're the best things that ever happened to you.
Bowden was even able to joke about it as a way to give Marissa the space to choose, not burdening her with his own feelings of uncertainty. However, it seems what Marissa responded to more was Ramses's expression of sadness, struggle, his sensitivity over not being her only man.
I just need that reassurance every once in a while. I just want to hear like from you that you're like still like, I guess not still into me, but like,
Still into you.
like, but that you're like, you're feeling me, that you're like, you know, like you're thinking of me, or you're like.
Okay, yeah.
Marissa's biggest fear in relationships is being abandoned.
I think I'm gonna feel very safe. And not feel like you're gonna run out on me.
No.
My fear is like, what if you just stop loving me?
Thus, between Bowden and Ramses, she chose the man who expressed bigger feelings for her.
You're the love I desire, though. What is that? That's from like a Bridgerton novel. That's like, you are the love I desire. Like, do you know how much I've wanted to hear that?
She chose the person who seemed more emotionally attached, dependent, more upset and affected by her divided attention.
Tuck me into the space between your heartbeat.
Please stop. I don't know, now I feel corny about that. Like.
No, I swear, I love it. You don't even know.
In my view, I think Marissa might not have been prioritizing commonality and compatibility. She was choosing the guy who appeared to need her more, who was more emotionally dependent and therefore maybe less likely to leave her, versus someone like Bowden who was able to manage his own emotions and not burden her.
No, I love it for you and him. Very excited for you guys. No hard feelings whatsoever.
Why do you handle everything so great? I'm panicking.
Bye, Marissa. You're gonna hear a whoop still.
I better. I will be very sad if I didn't hear it.
It's something that I've made peace with. I will go home alone.
In romantic relationships where one person is FE and one person is FI, when it comes to decisions that are purely based on preference, the partner with FI would tend to be the one calling the shots. FE extroverted feeling types actually prefer a partner who is comfortable to express what they want, because FE types view this as a sign that the partner cares. You care enough to express yourself, to say what you want, to have an opinion.
I'm excited to do like wedding planning with you because I feel like it's not just gonna be me planning.
Well, that's true.
You're gonna be a bridezilla. You're gonna be a bridezilla.
You think so?
You're gonna be a groomzilla.
But probably,
Yes,
I don't know,
babe, you
potentially. I do like specific things, yeah.
Which I'm excited about though, because I never wanted to like marry someone where it's like, I'm planning the wedding, he
you
just
plan the
shows
whole wedding,
up.
he shows up. Yeah,
Like,
no.
that's such bullshit.
Yeah.
And this is how inherently FE and FI interact. FI expresses, FE responds. And in a healthy relationship, it works because the FI person would also care enough about their partner to not impose their preferences all the time and remember to take their partner's needs into account as well as their own needs. However, in an imbalanced relationship where the FI person is overly self-centered and the FE person is overly accommodating and insecurely attached, that's when FE is in danger of giving their partner too much power, letting them be the sole judge and decider of everything.
I know you don't like my military service. I don't know if you would have wanted to be engaged to me 2 years ago.
Honestly, I probably
Not.
Even though Marissa had very valid needs of her own,
Well, especially like the sexual stuff, it's like, I do understand like your concern there and I think they're valid, but it's also at the same time like, I'm clearly sick, have a severe vitamin D deficiency and the PMS, and like just the fact that I'm like going back and forth from Baltimore, I feel like shit today.
in their discussions, Marissa always words it in a way where she's accepting all the blame, where she's the one who is deficient and not satisfying her partner.
I don't want it to be something where you're like not satisfied because I am a sick person.
And it's not to say that Marissa never stands her ground. She does protest when she feels cornered, when Ramses refuses to give her an inch.
Okay, cool, so we can disagree to have condom sex from here on out.
It's not really enjoyable, baby. Like, it's not something that guys, ever have the pressure to having to think about.
Yeah, well, here's the pressure. I'm not gonna go on birth control.
However, ultimately, she mostly ends up giving in because she's too afraid to lose him. She behaved as though she had no leverage.
Obviously, I started my period, so I'm back to my normal energy level. You know where I stand on like affection and...
I think we kind of figured that out too.
We did.
We figured that out quickly.
Yes.
I also noticed that throughout the show, only Marissa tends to check in with Ramses, asking how he felt about things, and Ramses never seemed to ask her in return, unless that's just editing.
Do you feel sure about us getting married?
Yeah. Like I do feel sure.
Okay, you do feel sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have those nerves, but then like once I see you, it just kind of melts away, honestly. Like I'm like, no, I'm good. Like there's nothing.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, honestly, yeah, no, I do feel really good, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel good too.
And at the reunion, it seemed like Marissa realizes how much agency she had given up to Ramses, how much she let him dictate everything.
But you see, I didn't have like a say, right? Because everything you just said was like, I this, I that. It's like we're a partnership.
The main issues that Marissa and Ramses argued over, namely her history with the US military, birth control, and lack of physical intimacy, all these discussions reflected how self-centered Ramses could be. His priority was always his own feelings, experience, and pleasure, and I felt at no point did he really try to see things from Marissa's point of view or take into account her needs. And on the surface, he may say that he is understanding. However, his actions, decisions, his covert ultimatums do not reflect compassion and empathy. For example, their military conversation. So I'm not going to comment on the politics or morality of the subject, but what I want to do is to point out Ramses's lack of empathy towards the person he loves.
Like you're signing up for it. No one's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to
No,
run into
they're
this
not.
building
They're
and
not.
kill these. Like it's
They're not. I didn't sign up to go kill people, even though I technically did join the military.
It's the military, babe.
Yeah, I know.
Like the guns and all of that's not there for no reason.
No,
Like,
I know,
it's
but, like-
weapons and like the whole.
Call me naive then.
My understanding is that Marissa was born into a military family. Her whole formative life, experiences, social sphere has been the military. Thus, the military as an experience is inevitably going to be a huge part of her identity and her community, regardless of her political views.
It's been my entire life. I grew up on bases
Yeah.
since I was 2. And then I did it in high school, I did it in college, and I did it for the last 8 years. So it's like, it is a huge part of my life. And I am proud of my service.
And importantly, Ramses knew this. He was fully aware of her military background and could have rejected Marissa in the pods if he wanted to uphold his values.
Your politics is like tied to your ethics, and like that's something that is like opposed to like who I am.
Even though you love her and everything.
I love her,
just
yeah.
because of that and everything.
I don't view politics and those type of things as like something that exists in a vacuum. Like,
But to propose marriage to her and then expect her to forgo a huge chunk of her life and identity, that's where I think it's an unreasonable ask.
in the pods. I didn't want that to be like your like sort of defining thing. I wanted to
No.
like get to know you beyond that.
It's been my entire life.
He may on the surface say that he does not want her to be ashamed of her past, but he definitely does not want her to be proud of it.
Like my service, it will, I don't think I can handle like you being ashamed of my service.
I wouldn't like want anyone to feel shame about their past.
Yeah.
As long as it's in your past.
This also reflects how Ramses was selective about which parts of Marissa he loved. He did not love and accept her as a whole. His love was actually pretty conditional.
If she were to go back into the military, would that cause a problem?
and yeah, look, it's yeah, that is like a
That would
line.
automatically be divorce?
It's yeah.
And to illustrate his lack of empathy, I could counter Ramses with a hypothetical argument. If he's that against, quote, US imperialism, why become a naturalized US citizen with no plans to leave?
Like, I wasn't born here. Like, I do live here now, and like, I understand that I'm privileged to live in this country. But at the same time, like, I will always heavily critique how the US has sort of just destabilized entire countries.
Can that be seen as betraying his own morality by choosing to settle in the US as a citizen and therefore enjoy the benefits that come with said imperialism?
Where are you from?
I'm from Venezuela.
Venezuela, okay.
Yeah, and Venezuela has a very complicated history with the U.S. I always stand with like people who are under the hammer of like U.S. imperialism.
And just to be clear, I am not at all against his immigration to the US, neither am I commenting anything on US foreign policy. I am only highlighting his lack of compassion towards understanding Marissa's point of view. Because life is complicated. People make choices based on what they know and what options are available at the time. A lot of us make certain choices because we didn't have better options, or we make choices that inherently come with a lot of pros and cons. So perhaps Ramses became a US citizen because that was his best option for a better life. Maybe he had to leave Venezuela because of political unrest or economic hardship. Or perhaps Ramses didn't choose to be in the US. Maybe he moved to the States as a child with his family who left Venezuela for a better life. So in the same vein, Marissa was born into a military family, and she went into the military because that was her best option and best opportunity at the time. That was what she knew then and believed was best for her at the time.
I can't look at the military and say like, it completely sucks because it changed my life and provided me opportunities.
When someone says that, like, oh, I have all these benefits now, at the benefit of what?
The demise of another country. But I will tell you, I didn't understand the gravity of that. A lot of kids sign up at the age of like 18 and like...
Yeah.
Another example to illustrate Ramses's self-centeredness were their two conversations regarding physical intimacy. So first, the condom conversation. The main issue here was that Ramses wanted all the pleasure and none of the responsibility.
I do need to talk to my doctor about birth control then.
Yeah, we can't play these risky. You can't play in these risky ass games.
Yeah, we're kind of risking it.
Yeah.
So these are the parameters. Ramses does not want children for another 3 to 5 years. Marissa cannot go on hormonal birth control for medical reasons. Therefore, condoms are the easiest, safest, no side effect option for all.
We either have condom sex or we don't have condom sex, and we accept the consequences of not having condom sex, which sounds insane, but it's the truth.
However, Ramses does not enjoy condom sex, and he's not offered to abstain or get a vasectomy either. So realistically, what other birth control methods are left that are highly effective, minimal side effects, and provide the same sexual pleasure as unprotected intercourse? Please enlighten us.
We had a conversation about multiple methods. We arrived at sort of a solution that worked best for us, and it wasn't a situation where I was just being whiny and bratty and like, oh, I don't want to use a condom or whatever the sort of perception is.
So based on an interview that Marissa did after the show, they ended up going for the fertility awareness method, where the woman tracks her menstrual cycles and estimates when she's ovulating, therefore when she's fertile. And the fertility awareness method is one of the least effective forms of birth control. Even when done correctly, studies have shown it's only 75 to 88% effective at preventing pregnancy versus condoms that are 98% effective with perfect use and 85% with human error. So Ramses is willing to take on more risk of getting pregnant than just wearing a condom.
It's not really enjoyable, baby. Sex is supposed to be like mutually enjoyable.
The fertility awareness method is also completely down to the woman to track her own cycles and do everything. Ramses does not have to do a thing. In the end, Ramses is asking Marissa to take on all the risk and responsibility, the risk of getting pregnant and the responsibility of executing the birth control method. And for himself to have all the pleasure, none of the responsibility, none of the risk. And if you're still unsure about whether Ramses is being self-centered, we then have their conversation about his sexual needs not being met because Marissa was physically ill and swamped with work.
I feel like I've been very affectionate with you. There's been like just maybe 3 times where I'm like, lay off on petting me or whatever.
It's not that I'm saying it's not fine. I'm just saying it's like long term, you know, like if that would be an issue for me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't even reassure Marissa when she asked him what's he gonna feel in the future when she might be less sexually active due to childbirth, motherhood, or illness.
There's periods before you have the kid, like you're not want to be affectionate. Maybe after you have a kid, like this is probably going to come up multiple times in our relationship. Is this going to be an issue for you?
That's a fair question. Yeah.
Ramses's response suggests that he never even considered these scenarios where things don't go smoothly and go his way, where his partner is her own person with her own ups and downs and needs his support, where his partner is not just an extension of him, a provider for his needs. Hi, quick break to say that if you wanted us to analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below. Ultimately, I think the main reason why Ramses chose Marissa at the start was this, that she made me feel great about myself.
I feel like with you, I can like fully be me.
What is your favorite quality about Marissa?
The way she like holds my vulnerability.
Ramses seemed to love Marissa's energy when it was serving him, uplifting him.
Can I scream? I'm in love! Sorry.
I love your energy. I soak that energy up and like I love it. Like I want to swim in it. Like
However, once real life set in and she is not a ball of joy 100% of the time, suddenly the relationship no longer worked for him.
I basically started to recognize how far of a space there was in our energy and how there wasn't that balance that I've sort of felt in the pods. And I realized and recognized that if I move forward with Marissa, every day I would be in a place where I would feel exhausted and overwhelmed.
Having lived with Marissa for a few weeks, Ramses experienced her not so good times with her work, menstrual cycle, and autoimmune condition, and he projected that her ups and downs would be a long-term thing. And I think the truth is, Ramses did not want to deal with Marissa and her long-term issues. That's why he decided to break up with her permanently. He's not willing to accept the responsibilities that come with long-term commitment.
This marriage is a promise and a commitment. And with commitment comes the responsibility of like getting through whatever we got to get through. I'm promising to go through life with you forever.
Some people have called out Ramses as a fake progressive, that underneath the talk, he was actually behaving similar to a more conservative or patriarchal man. And I don't think I would go that far. I do think that Ramses is overall very progressive in his views, but I think in practice, he is only progressive when it does not inconvenience him. For example, if we look at their pod conversation regarding future childcare, Ramses was open to looking after the children as a stay-at-home dad if he works remotely and is at home anyway.
I don't think I'm a stay-home mom type of person. And I didn't like just go to law school to not be a lawyer.
Exactly.
I would be possibly okay with you staying home.
I understand like the career field that you're going into is like very hectic, and like my goal is to like have fully remote work, whatever that looks like. So for me, if I'm there, like I don't mind taking care like of our kids.
You're not real. You're not real.
Or when Marissa asked him if her extroverted energy would be too much for him, his answer was that he would be accepting of her as long as she keeps it to herself.
You ever think I'll be like too much?
No. Like cause you like, we talked about it and you mentioned how like, you know, you're like here, like you're talking a lot here, you're bubbly, but like you have your moments.
Yeah.
Where you do need to be like on your own. And as long as like that's the case, I think it'll be fine.
Some people might argue that it's okay for Ramses to prioritize his needs and boundaries, that it's okay for him to vocalize what is working and not working for him in this relationship. And I agree with that in principle. It's psychologically healthy to know your needs and voice them in a relationship. However, relationships are hard because a lot of things are very nuanced and judgment calls. On the flip side, especially in Ramses' case, I could question, are his needs realistic and compatible with real life in the first place? Life is inherently full of challenges like career, parenthood, unexpected illness. The point of being in a relationship is knowing that you can lean on each other through the thick and thin. So I'm not criticizing Ramses for ending their relationship. In fact, I agree with Marissa's mom that he did the right thing by not leading her further on.
I'm thankful he called it off. I am. She would have carried that relationship. And so he did the right thing.
But what I do question is him putting all the blame on Marissa, no matter how nicely he words it.
Is your energy going to be like too much for me, or is it going to like make me feel, you know, like overwhelmed? Is it going to be like too much for me? At the end of the day, like this, it's not you, like it's me. It's
no,
like,
but you are literally saying that.
I don't want you to think like it's like there's something wrong with you, or there's a fault.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with me, Ramses, but it's like, you told me you fell in love with me because of who I am.
Yes.
And like, we get this experience and you just like, well, maybe the energy is too much for you. Like,
because
you know how that sounds?
I know how that sounds.
Okay.
I don't think that they ended things because Marissa was too much. I think in reality, Ramses just can't handle a three-dimensional woman. A woman who has gone through a lot in her life and still has a lot on her plate. A woman who is a fighter, a survivor, who still finds the energy to put him first despite everything that she has to juggle. And Ramses can't see himself being with Marissa long term because he doesn't want to deal with her issues at all.
Like it was fine, like, you know, in Cabo and everything else, but like here and every day, like with when you bring in like work and you bring in just like day-to-day like stresses or whatever, there was so much going on, and I feel like I didn't have a moment to really like for myself.
He's not willing to share the load of his partner if it means that it will compromise, even for a short period, his own feelings and experience. Basically, his own comfort, pleasure, and happiness are his top priority. And if having a baggage-free partner is your need, then that's fine. Good luck finding such a person. But my view is that Ramses himself is not baggage-free. In fact, most of us are not in this imperfect world.
I spoke with my niece's mother, LaDallas, and then my brother.
We had a long conversation about my previous marriage, just talking about this decision, and I learned about things, and fuck, like I just learned that like my ex was like hurting much more than I realized after that divorce. And like, I'm just like scared that something may happen, like where like I end up hurting you.
Marissa has shared that in her dating experience, men really love her at first and then seemingly lose their feelings for her over time.
Guys always really like me, and my personality, my looks, I have no issue with them like being...
Like the longevity part?
Yeah, it's the longevity part.
And I wonder if this means that Marissa has had a history of dating fair weather men who are only here for the good times.
But in the pods, like it felt amazing. Like it felt like I loved feeling your energy. Like
that's what every guy feels. They love the first couple of months of dating me because it's great. The energy is just so fucking great. Like, I get it. I've heard that before.
They love Marissa's energy when she's just an extension of them, when she mirrors and uplifts them, is 100% accommodating, when she's a constant ball of joy and never burdens them with her problems. The minute Marissa becomes a real three-dimensional person with her own ups and downs and things she's got to do for herself, they no longer vibe with her energy.
I just like want someone to be sure about me. You know. Just want someone to choose me, right? Like.
The issue is not that Marissa is unlovable. The problem is these men want a relationship that is all about them. The minute you are seen to burden them by making space for yourself, it doesn't work anymore. And the reason why Marissa attracts these men is because she is way too accommodating and people-pleasing at the start of the relationship.
Like I told you yesterday, I feel confident in us.
Yeah, I do also feel very confident in us.
Right.
Like very, 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 very.
Very, very.
Very.
It's strange. I didn't know about the facial hair.
The facial hair? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about that.
I mean,
Do you like it? Or
no, I
no?
do. I like it. I mean,
Oh.
I like your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could keep the facial hair.
Okay.
All the conversations in the pods were mostly about Ramses, and in their disagreements, Marissa was always the one to back down, to compromise her needs and values, to take on the blame in order to resolve things. This sets a tone and expectation in the relationship where it's all about the guy and Marissa will never really have a voice. It's not an equal partnership to begin with. Marissa also seemed unclear or inconsistent with what she wanted in a partner. Here, Ramses was confused about her continued connection with Bowden because Bowden's personality seemed to not fit with what Marissa claims she prefers.
I was like, I know she mentioned that she wanted someone that was more chill and like laid back and like more like, you know, measured type of thing. So I was like, why is
she talking to that?
still dating Bowden? He's like military and like y'all probably, you know, have that in common.
We had a lot in common.
A lot of things in common.
Yeah.
But I was just like struggling, trying to figure out like why is she like being honest about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got really in my head that night.
Another example is her attraction towards both hyper-masculine men versus men who are more emotionally vulnerable.
Because I've talked about the type of guy I wanted to date, which is someone like you, but I never like date them.
Why?
I think I probably judged them. Maybe thought they were like too soft.
She also described that she had a 3-year relationship with someone who had wildly different political and moral views from herself.
I think I told you I dated the Trump supporter for 3 years.
Yeah.
There's just a difference in thinking about how our society works. Like, I'm not gonna vote for rapists.
Right.
I'm not gonna vote for a guy who has gone to court and got found guilty. Like,
And I think that Marissa views her inconsistencies as being open-minded, non-judgmental, accepting people for who they are. And in a lot of ways, I do admire that attitude.
So what if I am like 5'5", 5'6"?
that's fine. That's fine.
Really?
I'm not gonna freaking say no to some guy because of his height.
Okay.
Like-
No, I was just like curious.
I never really cared much about the physical. I'm more like how they make me feel and how I get along with them. And I usually date guys who are like pretty smart. I dated like a conservative Trump supporter for 3 years.
Oh shit.
But then I dated like a progressive liberal guy. Like, it's just, I date people for who they are.
However, I would also argue that when it comes to choosing a long-term partner, we do need some selection criteria to judge against. Like, what qualities and values do I want in a partner? What is my idea of a good partnership? Who would work for me based on my preferences? An example would be Marissa's relationship with the Trump supporter when she herself is quite anti-Trump. So I'm not saying here that people of different political views can't be together, but it's important to look at the reasons behind someone's political views and what that reflects in terms of their character, core values, priorities, and worldview. It's these things that are important to take into account whether your partner's core values align with your own. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and interesting. If so, please like, subscribe, and share to support my channel. I've developed my own methods of interpreting personality types. If you would like us to analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communications, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below.